Hey guys, welcome to Home Sweet Homeschool. My name is Ashley and I'm a homeschooling mom to one. And in this video, which is also going to be a series of videos, I'm going to show you how I use the Brave Writer Arrow Guides to help my son with grammar and writing and also just to enjoy read alouds. So if you've never heard of the Arrow Guides or of Brave Writer or Julie Bogart, I really suggest that you check them out. It is a wonderful program. She does have a YouTube channel. And you can also go online to bravewriter.com and you can read all about it. Just what I did is just did as much research as I could on her website, and then I also am subscribed to her YouTube channel, and I'm on her, I follow her Facebook page because she does a lot of Facebook Lives on there and things like that. So we're going to learn all about the arrow. Today I'm going to tell you what the arrow is and what it includes, and then I'm going to show you how we use the arrow in our home. And my next couple of videos are going to just take you through each week of the arrow. So the first thing you need to do is go and visit bravewriter.com. If you click on the arrow guides, you will see a list of books for this school year, and then you can also do past arrow guides. And so that's where I got all of ours from. None of ours are from this year's list. Ours are past lists. So what you need to do is decide on the first book that you want to read and purchase that arrow guide. If you're scared to purchase it without trying it, definitely try her free one, which was James and the Giant Peach. We did that last April and we loved it. We loved the book and we loved all that the arrow guide had to offer. So the first thing you're going to do is pick your book and pick your arrow guide. So we picked for September, we picked A Series of Unfortunate Events, The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket. So you need to have the book and you need to print off the arrow guide, or you can just read it from your device, but I prefer to print it. That's just my favorite thing to do. So once you've purchased it, you will get your download, and we're going to talk about some things that are included when you print it off, what you're going to see. So first off, you can use the arrows in any sequence. You do not have to do them in order or year by year. You get to pick. They're just a unit all on their own. They contain 4 weeks of work, but of course, if you want to stretch it out longer than that or make it shorter than that, that's totally up to you. You do what works in your home. And like I said, I like to print them, but you can read them off of your device if you download it to there. So in your arrow, when you print it off, you're going to get a Brave Writer spin and spiral, and that's really just like a scope and sequence so that you know what's going to be covered in that unit. And so this will tell you everything you're going to talk about, so you know up front, these are the things I'm going to make sure that we touch on while we're reading this story. So this is included in all of those. You're also going to get, and I'll show you here, now I take mine and I paper clip them together so that I know week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. I like to have them all together in a packet. So what you're going to get is 4 passages with notes that you will use for copy work and dictation. And you're also going to have in here, and I'll show you with in your passage here, you're also going to get why she chose this passage, which is right here. And so this is really good for you to read to yourself to know. Some things to note, how to teach it. Here's your grammar notes. And then she also talks about point of view. So that all comes in each week. You're going to have that. So you have the 4 weeks worth of work. You're also going to have a section for your literary element. As you can see, for this book, we're going to learn all about idioms, so that should be a lot of fun. So that will be included in there. Then you're going to have a section for big, juicy questions. And these questions are in order, so you can just pick 1 or 2 or just one, whichever one, and discuss it with your kids after you read the story. And then the last thing that's included is your party school. So at the end when you're finished, if you're reading this as a book club, or you could just do it as your family, you can have a party, which this is going to work out perfectly because my son's 11th birthday, we just had his birthday party, and he wanted a series of unfortunate events party. So at the very end of this series, when we get past week 4, I'll insert some clips of how we decorated and his theme for his birthday party. So let me show you what I do to get ready. I just take a notebook. I'm not very fancy. I just take this notebook here, and I like to see it all written out. So I sit down and I think, okay, for week 1, what do I need to do? And let me show you how awesome Julie Bogart and her team are. They have just came out with this. And they are adding it to the past arrow guides as well. So you should get an email. If you've purchased from Brave Writer, you'll get an email that it has been updated. So if you've never done it before, this is perfect. This is called Our Week with the Arrows. So you print it out and it will step by step let you know what you need to do to get prepared, and you can even check it off. And then it also comes with an arrow skills tracker. And she suggests that you print this for each of your children. I only have one, so of course I just have one skill tracker. But I love this because I can see, and I'm going to use it for the whole month. I'm not going to do it for the week. I'm going to use this for the whole month, and I'm just going to put a little mark by what we talk about. So if it's something extra, because a lot of times I'll take her grammar point and then I'll take an extra grammar point and put it there. So like in week 1, we talked about commas, and then I'm also going to talk about proper nouns. And the reason why is because I notice when my son is writing, when he's writing, he gets so caught up in writing that he's not capitalizing proper nouns. And so I'm not going to necessarily, point it out while he's writing because he's proud of his writing. But when we're doing things like this and we're studying somebody else's writing, it's a good time to say, hey, and it's a proper noun, make sure you use an uppercase. So I'm just going to put a little mark to show, hey, these are the things that I've covered. And when we're finished with the month, that's when I can come in and I can mark these. She has a clock for if I'm saving that for later. I didn't want to touch on it yet. She has footsteps, so if you're learning that you're still walking through this together and we're still learning about it, or a check mark means, hey, he gets this. We totally have, we understand it, we're using it when we're writing, we get it. So these are awesome. So you will get this in your arrow guide as well. So let's talk about week 1. What I did with week 1 is I took what I had paper clipped together and I read the whole thing. I want to know exactly what it says so that when I sit down with my son, I'm not fishing for the words to say. I know exactly my point. I want to read the story, I want to talk about it with him, and I want to make sure that I hit what I'm supposed to. So I always just write out, I know I'm talking about commas and proper nouns. If there's a vocabulary word that I want him to learn that I don't think he knows the definition of, then we will talk about the word, we'll read it in the sentence, we'll talk about what it means, and then something that I wanted to talk about, and you'll notice I mark it in, when I'm sitting with him, I'll show you our copy. A hook. That's really important when you write. You want your readers to want to read the rest of your writing, so you use a hook. So I wanted to bring that up to him, and then we're also going to talk about point of view. So those are both good things that are extra that are not necessarily, the point of view is in there, but the hook wasn't necessarily mentioned. So I want to make sure I bring that up. We're going to answer big juicy question number 1, and what'll happen at the end of week 1, we'll do reverse dictation. And so of course that hasn't happened yet. That will come tomorrow, and that's how I know if he understands where to use that comma, if he's understanding to capitalize those proper nouns that we talked about. And I also check his spelling that way. I'll misspell some words, and we'll talk about reverse dictation probably next week when I print off that. But I do not type up the reverse dictation passage until he picks his spelling words, and I'll show you how he does that also. So this will be in my next week's video. So let me show you week 1. So important to note is I like to make sure that I read. You want to look right here, and you want to make sure that you read past that so the kids are familiar with the paragraph and they've heard it. And on each of her, I'm like, here's week 2, you want to make sure that you've at least read chapter 4, page 36, so that they've seen that paragraph. So she does give you those clues as to, hey, try to read this far before you do this passage. So this is what happens. I've sat down, I've read everything I need to read, I've planned out what I want to say and what we're going to talk about. And so what I do is I just grab some highlighters. Any kind of highlighters will do, but I grab some highlighters, we cozy up to wherever we're going to read, and I read to him, and we talk about it, We stop and we talk about it and we answer the big juicy question if we can, and we just have a really good time. This book is really good. We're enjoying it so far. So with our highlighters, we just take this first page. My son does not enjoy copy work. We tried that in April. We tried different ways and he doesn't enjoy it. She does recommend that you can break it up over a couple of days. She says, you know, make it enchanting. I tried all those things. You can even type it. If your kids like to type, they can type this. But what I learned works best for my son is to just give him a copy. So this is the first page, because it's actually featured twice, the paragraph is. This is the first page, and that's the copy that I give to him. So we read it together, and that's where we start pointing out things. So here is where I highlighted the vocabulary word that I wanted him to learn, and we discussed it and read it in the sentence. Then I talked about what a hook was, and we talked about what a great sentence this first sentence was, because it says, if you're interested in stories with happy endings, you'd be better off reading some other book. I mean, have you ever in your life read a story that started by telling you probably wouldn't want to read this book? I mean, it's an amazing hook. I mean, I love it. After that, we went in to talk about proper nouns and why do we capitalize proper nouns. And I got him to find them. I gave him a highlighter and I asked him to find the proper nouns in the sentence. So of course it was their last names and their first names. And we talked about why you have to do that. Then we went on to talk about the comma, how to use the comma, why we use the comma. She's a great write-up explaining everything in there. It's all in there for you. You don't have to make this up. She's got it all included for you, and there's even some examples for them to look at of when the comma isn't used and how it makes the sentence a little more clear if you put a comma in there. Now you'll also notice these words that are circled. What I do for spelling when we're using these arrow guides is I get him to look at the passage and I say, hey, pick out about 4 or 5 words that you think you might have trouble spelling or you just don't know how to spell. And so that's what he does. He's pretty honest. He has never, ever, since we've been using the arrow, picked out easy words that he already knows how to spell. He always picks out words that he doesn't know. And so this week he picked intelligent, extremely, facial, and misfortune. And so what happens is each day I let him practice them any way he wants to. He can use Spelling City. He can use any of the spelling websites. We use 3 different ones. He can use our letter tiles if he wants to. He likes to write on the windows with dry erase markers. So if he wants to practice there, that's perfectly fine. So he works on that during the week. He'll work on spelling these words. And at the end of the week, when we do reverse dictation and I give him the paper to edit, because that's what reverse dictation is you're just editing, he will go in and he will fix the punctuation. He will also look for spelling errors. And I like to tell him ahead of time, hey, you're looking for this many misspelled words. You're looking for this punctuation error, so that he kind of knows and he gets a little heads up as to what he's looking for. So that's what we do. And I don't do that all in, you don't have to do it all in one day. This one was pretty simple, so we did do it in one day. We had a really short week this week, and so we sat and we did it yesterday. We talked about proper nouns and commas. We covered it all yesterday. And so you can space it out. You can do copy work one day. She has it all written out for you. And when you get the guide to the arrows, it will tell you, hey, try this. You can try this plan, or you can try it this way. And what works for us is just to pick a day or 2 to work on the grammar, and that's what we do. Now, we read every day, but we don't necessarily use the arrow guide every day. It's totally up to you. You can follow her recommendation, or you can make it work for your family. And so what worked for us this week was to read, answer the big juicy question, and then I pointed out all this right here. Now, that's not to say that tomorrow when I read to him that we don't just go back over it before we do the reverse dictation. So anyway, that's how we use it, and that's how I did the first week. So what will happen is when this week is finished, we'll just continue reading daily, and I'll make sure that for week 2 that I've read at least to chapter 4, because as you see, I need to be at least there, past page 36. And I'll start planning what I want to do here. I'll take what she's mentioned for grammar, and if there's anything I want to add to it, I will do that. So, this is how I use it, and next week when I share our video, I'm going to share with you how to do reverse dictation. I'm going to share with you our plans for week 2, and then we'll just keep going from there. If you have any other questions about Brave Rider or using the arrow guides, please leave them in the comments below. Share this with anyone who's interested in Brave Rider, or just share it, period. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.